Hi everyone, I hope you all will be fine. Uh, we are going to have online sessions on different topics, and this would be the first in the series. The subject that we are going to discuss is comprehension and composition. So there would be many lectures on this topic, comprehension and composition. So I would like to discuss the parts, the elements. Comprehension is one element of this subject and the composition is another. So as far as the first element or the first word of the subject is concerned, that is comprehension. Comprehension is basically the understanding of the text, the understanding of the speech. It is a kind of comprehension of something that can be a kind of written text, that can be a kind of oral speech. So on daily basis we come across different kind of texts. We listen to other people, but there needs some kind of skills in order to comprehend those things properly. So if we learn those techniques, our listening power, or you may say our comprehension, could be more effective. So we will try to learn those skills. Then we will talk about composition. Composition is the reproduction of what you are comprehending. So composition is a kind of power of writing, that after reading you come to know how to write. So the whole syllabus will be focusing on these two elements as comprehension and composition. Today we will talk about reading, because first we need to comprehend the text. Means after reading we can comprehend it, and after the comprehension of that text we will be able to compose it. So we will discuss reading first. So as a writer of plays, Richard Steele says reading is to mind what exercise is to body. What does he mean? That it is important to keep yourself in the habit of reading, because mind needs a kind of exercise as your body needs. So it is important to read something that can be a kind of book, that can be a kind of novel, drama, a historical book, that can be a kind of biological book, that can be a newspaper, that can be a journal, a magazine. So whatever you need to read, because it gives a kind of exercise to your mind. It keeps your mind fit. So reading is a kind of exercise for your mind. Now what this reading gives you, this gives you multiple results. Suppose from reading you can get information, from reading you can get knowledge, from reading you might have heard about get the poet Wisdom, T.S. Eliot. Now he is a modern, I would like to poet Goethe is a great writer of 20th century. He says who is differentiating between when lost knowledge and living, information, what is knowledge when lost in information, what is wisdom when lost in knowledge. So as far as the first line of his poetry is concerned that is not relevant to our current discussion, as what is life when lost in living. I'm not going to discuss this line, but I'm going to discuss what is the knowledge when lost in information, and what is wisdom when lost in knowledge. So he categorizes the levels. You may say he categorizes what we are reading and what it makes us. As far as first line is concerned, what is knowledge when lost in information? So there is a great difference between knowledge and information. So we have misunderstood information for knowledge. So what is information and what is knowledge? Suppose if we are studying a book, suppose we are studying chemistry, and we come to know the definition of chemistry, and we cram it, we try to remember it. It becomes part of our mind, and we can spell it out, or we can read it out whenever we would like. So in the same way, there can be a kind of definition of atom. So you can define the atom very easily. A student of grade 7 or grade 8, he can also tell you what is the definition of atom. Similarly, if you are asked what is the population of Pakistan, and you tell him the exact population, that would be a kind of information that you have. Then what would be the knowledge? The knowledge would be like, suppose if you know the function of atom, how it functions in that particular subject, how that atom is utilized, exploited, or it is used in different ways in order to create energy, in order to create a kind of weapons, destructive weapons. So you know the functions, of a thing, and you can perform those functions by using that particular thing. So this is knowledge. So knowledge is much different from information. Information is the cramming of the things, cramming of the numbers, cramming of the facts and figures. So remembering those things is not knowledge. Knowledge is different. So when you are reading, you get information as well as knowledge. It depends upon the reader what kind of things he gets from the text. Now come to the next level that reading gives you, that is wisdom. Then there is a kind of difference between knowledge and wisdom, as there is difference between information and knowledge. What would be that difference? That is, suppose you have knowledge of constructing things from atom. You can create energy, nuclear energy. You can use that atom in operation theaters. So its utilization can be done by your knowledge. And as you know, from this atom we can create nuclear energy, like nuclear weapons. So now wisdom will decide for what kind of creativity you will use it, whether you will use it for the destructive purposes or you will use it for the constructive purposes. So everything has both aspects. If you go for the positive aspect, if you go for the constructive aspect of the thing, that is wisdom. So after reading, you get knowledge, and after getting knowledge, if you use it for the positive purposes, you are on the level of wisdom. So you are enough wise to utilize for the positive purposes. So we are getting three things from this reading. So reading gives you information, reading gives you knowledge, reading gives you wisdom. Now I would like to give you a kind of food for thought over here. Just try to assess yourself. Just try to assess the whole public, our nation. Where do we stand? Does our system make us knowledgeable? Does our system take us to the level of information? Does our system make us take us to the level of wisdom? Basically, we are on the level of information. Where there is knowledge, there is creativity. So when you have knowledge, you are a creative person. When you are a creative person, you have capacity, you have ability to create, you have ability to invent, you have ability to discover. So as a nation, we are on the level of information. Our system, educational system, gives us only information. So after completing the degree, means the higher degrees like graduate and postgraduate degrees, we are still unable to create a single thing. We are unable to discover any new thing. As you know, this is a kind of time, a kind of era which is flooded with new inventions, discoveries. Do you think the invention and the discoveries will stop over here? No, it will continue. It will continue in the future. So if we are willing to contribute in the modern inventions and the discoveries, we need to move ourselves from the level of information to the level of knowledge. So we can't talk about the level of wisdom because that is much ahead of us, because we are on the level of information. First we need to move towards knowledge. If we get knowledge, then we will be able to go to the level of wisdom. So from reading, we will try to first get information, and this will happen step by step. It can't happen that we will achieve the level of wisdom by reading a book. So it is a process that is slow and it needs consistency. So reading, after reading different kind of books, multiple kind of things, we don't need to limit ourselves to our syllabus. So reading doesn't mean to read your own syllabus, to read your own course for the purpose of passing it or getting marks. So reading is a kind of reading of multiple texts, from scientific to historical and from historical to fictional. So there should be a kind of variety of reading if you want to equip yourselves with wisdom. Now I would like to quote another writer, another essayist, Bacon. You might have heard about Bacon, an English writer. He says about he talks about this reading, what kind of capacity it has. He says, writing makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. So this reading has, you may say, capacity, or it has power to make a person full, and a conference means the discussion between people makes a person ready, means he is, you may say that he becomes a kind of shrewd person in discussions. And writing makes one exact, because the practice of writing makes you coherent, that brings about the habit of coherence in your discussions. So he further says about the books, the reading, that some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. So you need to choose the books according to their worth. So every book shouldn't be taken as serious. Basically, he has categorized the books. Some are important books, some are more important books, some are less important books. So some books are to be tasted. Just you need to go through in order to assess their worth, the kind of information they contain, the kind of knowledge they contain. Others to be swallowed, those are more important. Means you need to swallow them, you need to focus on those books. And the last category he has made is a few to be chewed and digested, and he has used the word few with this last category, that these are to be chewed and digested. So they will be part of your mind permanently. Means those will be very important things which need to be chewed and digested, and they will orient your life when you make them part of your mind. So it is important to select the books. It is important to assess what kind of books you need to study. So it is not randomly chosen, but you have stumbled on a book and you have taken it to read it. It is not like that. First, you need to search the list of what kind of books you need to study. Then in that list, there would be a number of books which can be unimportant for you. So the selection of the books is important. Before getting into the depth of the books, you need to make it clear what kind of things you need to study. Now I would like to tell you some of the strategies that will help you making your reading effective. As I told you, we don't read for the sake of reading. Rather, we read for the sake of making us knowledgeable. Now I would like to discuss some of the strategies which are important to make our reading effective. The first thing, as I told you, that you need to read a variety of materials. Do not limit yourselves to textbooks. Then the second thing that you need to do is read a fairly long portion of material, because it would be difficult to assess reading comprehension based on 1 or 2 paragraphs. So try to read an entire section or chapter instead, because we mostly read a paragraph, then we leave it, then we give up that kind of reading. So if you want to assess the worth, assess the chapter, then you need to read a long portion, not only a paragraph or a single chapter. So the next thing that you need to do while reading is to circle unknown or unfamiliar words you read. So you might have a pen, a highlighter that you can use to circle or underline those words which are unfamiliar. So in the first reading, don't try to consult the dictionary for those unfamiliar words. Just go through the text while underlining and circling the difficult words. So in the second reading, you will try to search the words, and before that you need to guess the meaning of those circled words. So this technique will be discussed in detail later on, but these are a kind of you may say gist. This is a kind of gist that I am going to give you regarding the reading technique. So after circling those words, you need to do another or adopt another strategy, that is, after reading, recall as much of the information as possible and jot down points if you like. So this is important, whether you have understood the whole chapter or not, whether you have understood the whole paragraph or not. How will you assess after completing one paragraph or after completing one chapter? You need to recall whether you have understood something or not, means whether you have understood the things given in that book, in that chapter, in that paragraph. So this recalling is important by jotting down the points that will summarize the whole text. So after doing this, this will help you checking the accuracy and the completeness of your recollections. So after assessing, you will come to know whether you have understood the text properly, because you have made the points and you can compare those points with the actual text, and this will give you a kind of assessment. So if the main ideas are presented in a particular order, see if you can recall the structure. As you know that when we are reading something, that is a kind of in a chronological order. So they are not discussed haphazardly. So they are given in an order. So your points will be also in a kind of order. Those points will not be chaotic. So consider how interesting the subject matter is and how much you already know about the subject. So this is the next strategy. When you are reading something, just you need to consider the subject matter. So whether you have any kind of information regarding the subject that you are right now discussing or reading. So compare your own information, your previous information, with the current information that the book or the chapter or the paragraph gives you. So is there any kind of are there any kind of similarities between what you have and what the book has? So this will help you assess your previous ability, your previous reading. At the end, you need to do one thing, that is to ask some questions regarding that reading material. This is important, that you need to pose some questions. The text shouldn't go unquestioned. It should face some kind of questions, some questions from you. You need to ask the questions regarding its contents, regarding the ideology it contains, regarding the ideas it contains. So the last strategy of reading is to question the text, and at the same time try to answer those questions by using your background knowledge, your previous knowledge. If you are able to answer the questions that you yourself have posed, it means your previous knowledge, your background knowledge has helped you. So these are the strategies that you need to use while reading. These strategies will help you in achieving some of the purposes. What will be those purposes? The first purpose I will discuss is it will enhance the understanding of content in a text. The second thing that you will achieve by using these techniques is you will improve understanding of how information is organized in a text. So the main problem we face when we are writing is the organization of the text, the organization of the elements, the organization of the sentences, the organization of the paragraphs. So by reading the text of others who are, you may say, great writers, you will be able to know how to organize the text when you are writing something. The third purpose you will get is you will improve attention and concentration while reading. And it has become a kind of common problem of all students, that whenever you are studying something, you can't concentrate. Although you are reading the words, you are pronouncing them, but you are evolving somewhere else. You are not in the text, you are out of the text. You are in the markets, you are in the streets playing cricket, in the grounds, in your thoughts. So you need to concentrate, and this concentration will come from the strategies we discussed above. Got it? So the next thing that you will get from these strategies is this will make the reading a more active process. So when you are using these strategies, the reading will be a kind of active thing, that you will make it active while reading, and the active process is always productive. It gives you something in return. Another important thing that you will get from these strategies is that it will increase your personal involvement in the reading material. So you will be, again, as we discussed earlier, you will be active in the reading process. The second last thing that you will achieve by adopting these strategies is it will promote critical thinking and evaluation of reading material. And this is I think this is the main purpose of reading, that you read in order to make your critical thinking more effective or more strong, and you want to evaluate the things. So whenever you are reading something, that you pose questions, as I told you. When you are asking questions from the text, it will promote your critical thinking, it will strengthen your critical thinking, and you will be a good critique of the things you are reading. So then, as I told you, evaluation is also important, that you can evaluate the worth of the book, whether it is important or it is not important, it is productive or not productive, it is constructive or not constructive. So by asking questions, you can make your critical thinking more strong. You can evaluate the things that you are reading. The last thing that we are going to discuss means after adopting these strategies, you will be able to enhance registration and recall of the text information in one's memory. So it is not, as I told you, to read for the sake of reading. It is for the sake of keeping those things in your mind. So whatever you are reading, you need to keep those things in your mind, because by utilizing those things, you can become a good writer, because you can utilize those things in your writing later on, as we will discuss the second part of our subject or syllabus, that is composition. So the power of composition comes by keeping the things you are reading in your mind. So when you are able to keep the things in your mind, you will utilize the same things when you are writing. So those will be source of, means those things will be source of your writing. So this is enough for today. We will come up with another topic in the next lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.